Due to professional duties of confidentiality and due to professional rules in relation to publicity, I have, as many members of this House, been unable to deal in public with the controversy surrounding the demonisation of Sergeant Maurice McCabe and his family, and I remain in that position. But those duties don't prevent me from fulfilling my constitutional and statutory functions as a member of the Oireachtas in relation to the proposal to establish a tribunal of inquiry under the Act of 1921 to examine and report on those matters and the terms of reference which this House is going to debate this evening. In that context, and looking forward to that debate, I believe it would be wrong for me to refrain from stating in this House that the fairness and appropriateness of establishing such an inquiry, while Commissioner O'Sullivan continues to exercise her authority and to discharge her functions as Commissioner, is very much an issue. As a former Taoiseach Minister for Justice and Attorney General, I am in a good position, I think, to form an opinion as to whether it is or is not appropriate or inappropriate for the Commissioner, against whom the gravest of allegations of misconduct have been made and will now be investigated, to exercise her authority in relation to Garda Síochána and to exercise her functions while the tribunal is being organised and until it has considered its report. The relationship between the Government and the Commissioner of Garda Síochána must be based on confidence. Confidence, in anyone's language, includes a solid belief and a working assumption that the person in question is truthful and reliable and appropriate to be in her position in every respect. Confidence cannot be said to exist if sufficient doubt exists in the mind of the Government in respect of the gravest of allegations to warrant the establishment of a tribunal of inquiry. Moreover, confidence involves, as I say, an assumption of the truthfulness of a person. And when we come to a situation where there is a direct conflict between that person's positions publicly stated and that of Superintendent David Taylor, if we are working on the operating assumption that the Commissioner is truthful, that necessarily suggests that we are operating on the assumption that the allegations against her are false, and that is not the position of members of the public or of this House. Moreover, it's totally inconceivable that officers, including senior officers of a disciplined force, should be asked in public to accuse on oath the person in charge of them on a day-to-day basis of grave misbehaviour in their evidence, and furthermore that they be permitted to instruct counsel to cross-examine that person as to her honesty, her reliability and her suitability for office. In addition, it's wrong in principle that the Garda force in its entirety, which will have a duty to cooperate in finding, presenting and making discovery of all records and evidence in its possession relating to the issues under consideration, should be under the day-to-day control of a person whose suitability for office is necessarily a central issue in that tribunal. So accordingly, Alas Concordia, I want to state here in the strongest possible terms that there is no reason at all for the Government to permit the Commissioner to remain in office, and that she must step aside either temporarily for the 3-month duration of the tribunal until it has reported, or else permanently. And finally, people have said in this House, and rightly so, that we should not be judge and jury in this matter. However, the rights of all persons, including the Irish public and everyone whose interests are at stake in this tribunal, to fairness comes first. And the determination of the Commissioner to remain in office during the tribunal is neither fair, appropriate or defensible.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Rose Conway Welch.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. It's not every day that I would stand up here